With Sonic's 35th anniversary in full swing, I've been in a very Sonic mood lately. I've been reading a lot of the older Sonic comics and TV shows, and it's honestly kind of sad comparing it to the newer Sonic media. But I don't know, the past couple years, a lot of Sonic media has been kind of uninteresting to me. The IDW comics have people who write and draw the comics who have been doing Sonic stuff for literally like decades and clearly love the series very much. However, I find their work in the IDW stuff just not interesting to me. Now, this may be because of Sega being very strict on what the comics can do. The series feels like it hasn't done anything truly interesting in a long while since, like, the Metal Virus arc, or, like, issue 50. But that was, like, at least, 3 years ago with issue 50, and, like, I think 5 years ago with the ending of the Metal Virus arc. And then when you look at the shows, or really just one show, we just have Sonic Prime, which everyone liked at the start, but then fell apart. And while all this was going on, as I thought about it in my mind, I had a realization, or maybe rather a core memory. Creating a series based off the classic Sonic games. Something I've always been wanting to do. I mean, plenty of people have been doing it and are doing it, so it may not be unique. I still want to do it because I feel like I have my own vision that hopefully I can explain at least some of here, and I think is at least interesting enough to make into its own thing. When creating my universe, I took a lot of inspiration from early Sonic media, mostly like the Sonic Bible, Sonic SatAM, and the Fleetway comics. My idea is to bring back themes of technology versus nature, as long as also bringing more themes you might see in like a lot more modern Sonic media about freedom. And I think another major theme in this will also be, what does it mean to be free? As such, the world is ruled by Dr. Robotnik, a scientist from Earth who originally sought to save his own world, however has now enslaved the populace of Mobius with this militaristic dictatorship and a discard of nature. And so Sonic fights against him with his friends to free the people and restore Mobius to its former glory and its former state before Robotnik came in and took over. So yes, I'm going with the very classic early era Sonic as a freedom fighter type character. I'm sorry, but every time I just think of Sonic, at least in his early days, it's just him being a freedom fighter. It just makes the most sense for him, how his character works. I know people don't like him being specifically a hero type character, which I get, but I think him just being a freedom fighter who may not consider himself a hero, I think he still, wants to save and help people. Generally, Sonic is written to be this static character in a lot of media, which, I mean, it's fine. However, in my version, I do want him to grow in the story, and so I'm taking inspiration from how he's depicted in Sonic Generations, classic Sonic, how he's depicted, and how Sonic looks and acts in the classic games with the sprites, like in Sonic 1 and 2. And so I'm imagining he's a lot more silent, not as talkative. He isn't like completely mute, he'll still talk, but generally he's like very serious, like a bit more mature. Like he will joke around if he's running around stopping Eggman's plans and all that, but generally he will just kind of just be quiet and during like time of him being casual. I generally don't like when they try and give Sonic some story arc, though, ironically enough, in a lot of media, because often they don't really think of, oh yeah, this Sonic already like knows these things. Again, I'm kind of looking at Sonic Prime at this. They did something similar with his character. I don't want to do that with my interpretation, but I think since this is like early, like very early in Sonic's like career, I think it'll work. Now, designing him was a bit more of a challenge. Sonic's design is incredibly good and iconic. Like he's one of those characters where, if you just saw a silhouette, oh yeah, that's Sonic. He's one of those characters, he's instantly recognizable. So it's kind of hard to change a design like that without making it just like overcrowded. Now, there are designs that are very detailed, made by fans, and I do like those designs. So it was more just an issue of, okay, how do I make this my own version of Sonic? Which again is hard because there's so many fan designs for how they imagine Sonic is. For me, I kind of base the shoes off how his shoes are in the Sonic movies. I always like how they look. and I decided to put on some bandages on him, or like sports tape, like how he does in Sonic Boom. I also considered adding like this little ring necklace, which would have been important to like part of his backstory, which maybe will explain in another video. I just don't want to spoil it here, and I'm also kind of maybe might change some stuff later, so I'm not gonna explain it and then change it because I think it might be a little bit confusing. But I had it there for a while. I decided to remove it. It was kind of clutter that didn't really make too much sense, honestly. The biggest issue I had was mostly his eyes, because I was trying to figure out, do I want to go with a more cartoony Una eye, or do I want to separate it, how it is like in the Sonic movies? I kept going back and forth. I decided to go with, it's a separate, the eyes are separate, but they still have like little white fur in the middle, like how they are in the Sonic movies. And with that, I managed to create my Sonic design. However, I didn't like this. I tried it for a bit. I just wasn't a fan of it. So, I went back and changed it. I kept the shoes the same. I decided to change proportions. I tried to go with a more cartoonish, I guess, noodle, like how it is, like noodle limbs, like how it is in general Sonic media. It's a good, I like it, don't get me wrong, but just how I draw, I think it just makes more sense to be a bit more anthro-animal, I guess. I'm not sure what word to describe it as, but I just kind of went more realistic-ish proportions. The most major change I made to this design is that I gave him shorts. I based how they look off Sonic's clothes in the OVA. He apparently has clothes, which doesn't make sense when he's naked throughout the entirety of the whatever. In this universe, the male characters also wear clothes. I don't care. Either the male characters and the female characters don't wear clothes, or all the characters wear clothes. And I decided to go with all of them wear clothes. Sorry. I decided to change the colors of the shorts, making them red, white, and yellow, like how Sonic shoes are, so they kind of like match. Of course, I had the little M symbol. I guess maybe that's the brand who made it. I don't know. I also kind of gave like these little like straps, like little rings on the end. I don't know. I thought they looked kind of cute. It kind of makes sense for how his character is. I also kind of smoothed them out a little bit, kind of removed some of the spikes I had with like the first design, the little quills poking out to make it a bit more smoother. And I don't have to worry about that when drawing him, which I kind of found was a bit annoying when I was like drawing him out in some other works I was doing with him. But with that, I finally had a Sonic design I was happy with. Now, it's probably not the most unique design out there. I mean, shocker, a Sonic design with shorts. That's so new. No one else has ever done that before. No one ever has done that. I don't mind. I feel like it fits this version of the character, and I think people will enjoy it. My version of Dr. Robotnik is mostly inspired by his more serious incarnations from Sonic SatM, and also inspired by that bio he had in Sonic Heroes, which reads, "As his name implies, Dr. Eggman is a doctor that looks like an egg, as well as having an unfeasibly high IQ of 300. Eggman is a romanticist, a feminist, and a self-professed gentleman. Sadly, his charms are often difficult to spot through his abominable laughter that accompanies his maniacal declarations of world domination. Sonic is always finding ways to stop his diabolical plots, but as with all great arch-enemies, Eggman now sees Sonic as more of a rival than a threat." This bio specifically will be the backbone of how I imagine this Robotnik will be like. And while I don't mind the more goofier versions of the character, like in Sonic Boom, Adventures of Sonic the Hedgehog, and the Sonic movies, I just prefer a more serious Eggman. I'm sorry, I just think it's more interesting. When designing him, I wanted to give him actual mass. Kind of like the Fleetway comics, but slightly toned down, maybe a bit more realistic, but still big and bulky. I always like how the Fleetway version of him looked in the comics, especially in the later issues, where they really went hard into how big he is, to the point where, honestly, just how I remember him, he's like basically barely even fitting in the page itself. It's always like trying to burst out of the panel. I just love how that's drawn and how he's drawn. I just love that designs of that version of Robotnik. So for that, I'm leaning towards that more or less for this version, at least physically. It also just works for this version of Eggman, or rather Robotnik, as in this he's going to be referred to as Robotnik, not Eggman. Eggman will be an insult. Eventually he will grow to use that as his full-on name, but that's going to be more of the end game of this story, because this story is going to be covering mostly the classic games, so that's going to be the end game. But in this version, it kind of makes sense that he has a bit more mass, because I also imagine he will get more into more physical fights, so he just prefers using his mechs and his Eggmobile to fight. The only reason he doesn't use his actual strength is ultimately because everyone around him is a furry with superpowers that could probably just kill him in one punch, and he just doesn't want to deal with it. In this version of Robotnik, he has a lot of physical injuries from his past that we'll get into more into the story, but I won't get into too much right now. But he got a lot of physical injuries, a robotic arm, and he got piercing red and black eyes. He covers that up with glasses, and he wears gloves and a long coat to cover up the robotic arm. Basically, he's very much a narcissist in all versions. That's going to stay the same in mine. And with that, since he's also kind of ruling Mobius, he doesn't want to be seen as weak, and he might consider that as weak or general ugliness. So he just will cover that up. And then something similar you'll see in a lot of actual dictatorships. I also think in this version he actually does also see himself as a savior. Of course, what he's doing is destructive and everything, but he believes it will lead to a greater good. He actually believes in what he's doing. And so I also kind of imagine this kind of creates a personality cult around him. And so maybe we're like, no, he's not physically unwell. He doesn't have any cybernetics. He's not crazy. He's a brilliant man who seeks truth and seeks enlightenment. But actually, no, he's just a crazy psychotic maniac who kind of sees himself as a god, and will recreate the world in his own twisted image. When I drew him, I took various inspirations. At first, I took a lot of inspirations from the Saturday Adventure Sonic the Hedgehog, mixed with a lot of stuff from the classic Sonic design of him, where he's round, has those I'm not sure what you call it, those triangular coat things. I'm not sure what you call them. I always kind of like that. I want to try and emulate that in his suit in this story, because again, it's an adaptation of the classic games for the most part. But pretty quickly I kind of ran with a more mix between the classic design and the modern design, and you can kind of see some of the more influences that would become the modern design through this, classic design. I went through a few versions, as you see. I really like the first one, but I feel the final third one is kind of what I was going for, more or less. And that will be the one I'll be going with. Also, I do notice how the little zipper buckle things on his boots are not aligned. I know, I'll fix that at some point later. Oh well. These changes I've done to both Sonic and Robotnik, I think, can result in a more interesting and more mature take on the series that I've been wanting to see and hope to create for others who want a similar vision for the series. Using the themes of the series with environmentalism, freedom, and amplifying those and making them, and hopefully writing them in a more mature and deeper fashion. Don't get me wrong, this is an AU about Sonic the Hedgehog. I don't think I'm better than anyone working at Sega or any other Sonic project. They're doing great, and I think what they're doing now is the right way to go, more or less. I think I'm fine if the series is how it is now. I'm just hoping people will see this and want to see more of this vision, and will eventually enjoy it when I start actually making comics and stories in this universe. But on that case, I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you like and maybe even subscribe. Always helps. And also comment, say what you think. I plan to make more videos about the redesigning aspects of Sonic and his world. I won't take as long between videos as the last one. Again, this is a major problem with me for people that that have been following my content for at least a little bit. I apologize again. My life has just gotten really busy and hectic, and I couldn't get to it. But I will be making more content soon, and hopefully on a more consistent basis. Now, until then, my name is Kool-Aid K, and have a good night, and stay safe.